The night shift at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station was usually quiet. Tom Reed sat at his desk, sipping cold coffee and watching the endless stream of data flow across his screens. Most nights, the data showed nothing but the usual background noise of space. Until tonight, a strange pattern caught his eye. At first, he thought it was just another piece of space junk sending out random signals. But this was different. The pattern repeated itself every 12 seconds, too precise to be natural. "Hey Bill, come look at this," Tom called to his supervisor. The older man walked over, his boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. He leaned in, adjusting his glasses as he studied the screen. "That's not one of ours," Bill said, his voice growing serious. He reached for the secure phone line. "And it's not from any country on Earth." Within an hour, the station was buzzing with activity. Scientists and military personnel filled the room, their voices mixing with the hum of computers. The signal was coming from somewhere near Jupiter, growing weaker by the minute. When they finally decoded part of the message, the room fell silent. It wasn't just a signal, it was a cry for help. Space Command didn't waste any time. They knew exactly who to call. Captain Jack Miller was already suited up in his apartment when his phone rang. He had been preparing for his morning flight training, but something told him this would be different. "Miller," he answered, zipping up his flight suit. "Captain, we need you at command. Now." The voice belonged to General Adams. Miller had worked with him before, rescuing stranded astronauts and helping ships in trouble. But this time, the general's voice had an edge to it that Miller had never heard before. The drive to Space Command took 20 minutes. Miller spent every second thinking about what could be so urgent. He had been Earth's top rescue pilot for 5 years, saving 17 crews in situations others called impossible. But nothing had ever required such immediate attention. The briefing room was packed when he arrived. Scientists pointed at screens showing Jupiter's swirling clouds, arguing about calculations and possibilities. General Adams stood at the front, his face grim. "Ladies and gentlemen," Adams said, bringing the room to order. 30 minutes ago, we received a distress signal from what appears to be an alien vessel." He paused, letting the words sink in. "They're trapped in Jupiter's orbit, and their systems are failing." Miller studied the data on the screen. The alien ship was caught in a dangerous position, being pulled closer to Jupiter's intense radiation belts. Their power was failing, and their orbit was decaying. Without help, they would be dead in less than 72 hours. "This is why we called you, Miller," Adams continued. "You're the best pilot we have. If anyone can reach them in time, it's you." Miller looked at the calculations again. The mission would push both him and his ship to their limits. The radiation near Jupiter could fry their systems. The gravitational forces could tear them apart. And that was assuming the aliens were friendly. But there were lives at stake. Whether they were human or alien didn't matter. They needed help. "When do I launch?" Miller asked, already planning the rescue in his head. "Your ship is being prepped now," Adams replied. "You have 1 hour." As Miller walked to the launch pad, he thought about what he was about to do. No human had ever attempted a rescue this far out. No one had ever tried to save an alien ship, but today, humanity would show the universe what it was made of. The Pathfinder waited for him, its silver hull gleaming in the morning sun. It was the most advanced rescue ship ever built, and today it would prove its worth. Miller climbed aboard, his movements quick and sure. As the launch countdown began, he ran through his final checks. He didn't know what he would find out there, but he knew one thing. He wasn't going to let those aliens die. Not on his watch. The engines roared to life, and Earth fell away beneath him. The most important mission in human history had begun. The journey to Jupiter took 3 days, even with the Pathfinder's advanced engines running at full power. Miller spent most of that time studying the alien signal, trying to understand what he would find when he arrived. The closer he got to Jupiter, the stronger the signal became. On the fourth morning, he saw it. The alien ship appeared against the massive backdrop of Jupiter, its shape unlike anything humans had ever built. It looked like flowing water frozen in space, with curves and spirals that seemed to defy engineering. The ship glowed with a soft blue light, but Miller could see that the glow was fading, a sign their power was running out. "This is Captain Jack Miller of Earth Rescue Vessel Pathfinder," he broadcast, hoping they could understand him. "I'm here to help." For a long moment, there was only silence. Then his screen lit up with colors and patterns. The aliens were responding, but not with words. Instead, they sent mathematical equations, simple ones at first, then more complex. Miller smiled. Math was the same everywhere in the universe. He responded with his own equations, showing his planned rescue route. The alien ship's response came faster this time. More patterns, but now including simple pictures. They showed him their ship's design, and Miller's heart sank. Their technology was so different from Earth's that normal rescue procedures wouldn't work. The alien crew appeared on his screen next. Miller had tried to prepare himself for this moment, but nothing could have readied him for what he saw. They were beautiful in a strange way, their bodies seeming to shift colors like the northern lights. Their captain, whom Miller nicknamed Blue for the deep color of their central core, moved forward. Using a combination of mathematics and pictures, Blue explained their situation. Their experimental drive had failed during a test, stranding them in Jupiter's dangerous orbit. 3 rescue attempts by their own people had failed. The radiation around Jupiter was too intense for their technology. "We can try something different," Miller transmitted, sending diagrams of his plan. "Earth ships are built to handle radiation better than yours. We just need to figure out how to link our systems." The aliens studied his plan. Miller could see them discussing it, their bodies flashing different colors as they communicated. Some seemed afraid, their colors turning dark and muddy. Others showed what Miller guessed was hope, glowing brighter. But there was a problem. The alien ship used crystals for power, not the nuclear engines Earth ships used. Linking the ships incorrectly could cause an explosion that would destroy them both. They needed to trust each other completely, and they had only hours to figure it out. Miller moved the Pathfinder closer, fighting against Jupiter's gravity. The giant planet's radiation was already affecting his instruments, making them give false readings. He had to rely on his experience and instincts now. The alien ship's glow dimmed suddenly, making Miller's heart race. They were losing power faster than expected. He watched as Blue's crew rushed to redirect their remaining energy to their life support systems. Their message was clear. They had less time than they thought. "I'm coming closer," Miller transmitted, pushing his ship forward. "We'll figure this out together." The aliens' response was immediate. They sent him detailed scans of their crystal technology, trusting him with information their species had kept secret for centuries. In return, Miller shared everything he knew about Earth's rescue procedures. As Miller worked to understand their technology, he noticed something interesting. The aliens were adapting their systems, trying to match Earth technology. They were taking risks too, trusting this strange human who had come so far to help them. Jupiter's massive red spot came into view, its storms raging beneath them. Miller knew they had to act soon. The radiation would only get worse as Jupiter's magnetic field shifted. He looked at the alien ship, its beautiful design now showing signs of damage from the radiation. "Let's try something," he transmitted, beginning the most dangerous rescue attempt in human history. The aliens' response was simple, a mathematical equation that meant ready. The real test was about to begin. Miller's hands moved quickly over the Pathfinder's controls as he studied the data from the alien ship. The more he learned, the more worried he became. Their crystal power core wasn't just failing. It was becoming unstable. Each surge of energy made the crystals crack a little more. "Show me the core again," he transmitted to Blue. The alien captain's response came quickly, their body pulsing with dark colors that Miller now recognized as fear. The images showed the crystal chamber, where beautiful blue-white crystals floated in a magnetic field. But now thin black lines ran through them like cracks in ice. Jupiter's massive bulk filled most of his view screen. The giant planet's radiation was getting worse as they moved through a particularly strong part of its magnetic field. Miller's instruments were giving him crazy readings, some of them flashing warnings he'd never seen before. "Earth Command, this is Miller," he transmitted back home. "We have a serious problem." He explained the situation to the scientists back on Earth. The alien ship's crystal core was absorbing Jupiter's radiation like a sponge. Each burst of radiation made the crystals more unstable. If they didn't get the aliens out soon, the core would shatter and take both ships with it. "Standard rescue procedures won't work," Miller continued. "Their hull is too delicate for towing, and their power system can't handle a direct connection to our engines." The response from Earth took 8 minutes to reach him. While he waited, Miller watched the alien crew working desperately to stabilize their core. Their movements were getting slower. They were running out of air. "Captain Miller," General Adams' voice crackled through the radio. "Our scientists say this rescue is impossible. The risks are too high. Return to Earth immediately." Miller looked at his screen where Blue was still working, their body now a dim gray color that spoke of exhaustion. The alien captain had shown him images of their home world, of their families. They weren't so different from humans after all. "With respect, sir, that's not happening," Miller replied. "I'm not leaving them." He shut off the radio before Earth could respond. He needed to think without their voices in his ear telling him what couldn't be done. There had to be a way. Miller pulled up the data both ships had shared. He looked at everything: power readings, hull strengths, gravity calculations, radiation levels. Then he saw something everyone had missed. The alien's crystal core wasn't just absorbing radiation, it was changing it. The energy coming out was different, almost like the crystals were trying to protect themselves. If he could understand how they did that. "Blue," he transmitted urgently, "I need to know everything about how your crystals handle energy. Not just what they do, but how they do it." The alien captain seemed to understand the excitement in his voice. They sent him detailed scans of the crystal structure, showing how they channeled and transformed energy. It was like nothing Earth had ever seen. Miller's mind raced as he put the pieces together. The Pathfinder's engines couldn't power the alien ship directly, but maybe they didn't have to. If he could use his ship's power to create a specific type of radiation, one that the crystals could use. A violent shake interrupted his thoughts. Warning alarms blared as Jupiter's radiation surged again. The alien ship's glow flickered dangerously. "Hold on," Miller transmitted to them. "I have an idea, but it's never been done before. It might save us all, or it might blow us both up." Blue's response was immediate. Their color changed to a fierce, bright purple that Miller hadn't seen before. The meaning was clear. They trusted him. Miller began reprogramming his ship's power systems. What he was about to try went against everything he'd been taught about space rescue operations. But sometimes, he knew, the only way to do the impossible was to break all the rules. He took a deep breath and looked at Jupiter's swirling clouds. The next few minutes would either make history or end it. Miller worked quickly, his fingers flying over the control panels as he laid out his rescue plan. The idea was dangerous, maybe even crazy, but it was their only chance. He had to find a way to use Jupiter's own gravity to help save the alien ship. "Look at this," he transmitted to Blue, sending a series of calculations. His plan showed the Pathfinder making a series of tight passes between Jupiter and its moon Io. Each pass would build up speed, creating a gravity slingshot effect. If they timed it perfectly, they could use that momentum to pull the alien ship free. Blue's body flickered with rapid color changes as they studied the plan. The alien captain understood what Miller wasn't saying. One wrong move and both ships would be torn apart by Jupiter's gravity. The radio crackled to life. Earth had been trying to contact him for the last hour. "Miller, this is General Adams. Whatever you're planning, stop now." That's an order. Miller took a deep breath before responding. Sir, I found a way, but we need to act fast. He transmitted his plan to Earth. The response was immediate and loud. Scientists called it impossible. Military experts called it suicide. The politicians didn't even want to discuss it. The gravity forces will crush both ships, one scientist argued, and the radiation levels in that orbit are off the charts. That's exactly what we need, Miller replied. He explained how he had studied the alien crystals' reaction to radiation. The crystals didn't just absorb energy, they could channel it. If he could time his passes through Jupiter's radiation belts just right, the crystals might absorb enough power to stabilize. Blue sent new data confirming Miller's theory. Their crew had started modifying their crystal chamber, preparing it for Miller's plan. They were already committed to trying. Sir, Miller said to General Adams, I understand the risks, but there are 15 lives on that ship. I'm not leaving them to die. There was a long pause before Adams responded. When he did, his voice was quiet. How can we help? Miller smiled. I need Earth's best scientists to check my calculations, and I need them to do it fast. The next 2 hours were intense. Miller and Blue worked together, preparing both ships for what was coming. Earth's scientists sent updated calculations every few minutes, refining the plan. The alien crew was struggling now. Their life support was failing, and the cold of space was creeping into their ship. Miller could see them moving slower, their colors becoming duller. They didn't have much time left. We're ready, Miller transmitted to Blue. But I need you to understand something. This plan, I've never done anything like it. Nobody has. Blue's response was simple but clear. They showed Miller an image of their home world, then an image of Earth. The message was obvious. They were trusting humanity with their lives. Miller began powering up the Pathfinder's engines. He had modified them to handle the extreme stress they would face, pushing them far beyond their normal limits. The ship groaned as he fired them up. All right. He transmitted to both Earth and the alien ship. Here's how this is going to work. We'll make 4 passes through Jupiter's radiation belts. Each pass gets more dangerous than the last. On the 4th pass, we'll have about 10 seconds to get everything exactly right. He paused, making sure both Earth and the aliens understood what was at stake. If we succeed, we all go home. If we fail, he left the sentence unfinished. They all knew what failure meant. Blue's color shifted to a deep, determined gold. Their crew took their positions, ready to follow Miller's lead. Back on Earth, the tracking stations locked onto both ships, ready to help guide them through. Miller looked at Jupiter one last time. The giant planet's storms raged below them, beautiful and deadly. In a few minutes, they would either make history or become part of it. Beginning first approach, he announced. Let's go save some aliens. The first pass near Jupiter shook the Pathfinder so hard that Miller's teeth rattled. Warning lights flashed across his control panel as the ship fought against gravity forces it was never designed to handle. Behind him, the alien ship followed in his wake, their crystal core glowing brighter as it absorbed the radiation. First pass complete, Miller reported, his voice steady despite the strain. Preparing for second approach. The Pathfinder swung around Jupiter's massive bulk, using the planet's gravity to gain speed. Miller watched his instruments carefully. Everything had to be perfect. Too fast, and the ships would break apart. Too slow, and Jupiter's gravity would pull them in. Blue's ship was holding together, but barely. Their hull sparkled with strange lights as the radiation hit it. The aliens had powered down everything except their core and life support. Miller could see them through the video feed, their bodies pressed against the walls by the intense forces. Second pass starting now, Miller announced. The Pathfinder dove back toward Jupiter, closer this time. The radiation level spiked so high that some of his instruments stopped working. Miller flew by feel now, using his years of experience to guide both ships through the invisible storm of energy. Earth's scientists were shouting numbers and warnings in his ear, but Miller tuned them out. He needed to focus. The alien crystals were changing color, shifting from blue to a brilliant purple. It was working. They were absorbing the energy they needed. The third pass was the worst. Jupiter's magnetic field caught them like a giant hand, trying to pull both ships down into its endless clouds. Miller's arms shook as he fought the controls. Sweat dripped into his eyes, but he couldn't spare a hand to wipe it away. Crystal core at 70% capacity, came the report from Earth's scientists. But the alien ship's hull is starting to crack. Miller looked at his screen. They were right. Thin lines were appearing in the alien ship's beautiful surface. But they couldn't stop now. They were committed. "Blue," Miller transmitted. "We have one pass left. It's going to be rough. Are you ready?" The alien captain's response was immediate. Their whole crew glowed with a fierce determination that needed no translation. They were ready. The Pathfinder swung wide, preparing for the final approach. This would bring them closer to Jupiter than any human ship had ever gone. The gravity forces would be crushing. The radiation would be off the charts. But it was their only chance. "Final pass beginning," Miller said. Then he added quietly, "Here goes everything." The Pathfinder plunged toward Jupiter. The ship's frame groaned under the strain. Warning sirens blared as systems began to fail. The alien ship followed, their crystal core now blazing like a small sun. Miller's world narrowed to his controls and his screens. Nothing else mattered. Not the shouting from Earth, not the alarms, not even the pain in his arms as he fought to keep the ship steady. They passed through the worst of the radiation belt. The alien crystals flared blindingly bright. Miller's screens went dark for a heart-stopping moment. When they came back on, he saw that the alien ship's hull was glowing hot, nearly ready to break apart. "Now," Miller shouted. He fired the Pathfinder's engines at full power, executing the final part of his plan. The ship shot forward, creating a gravitational wake that the alien ship could follow. If his calculations were right, the combined force of their speed and the crystal core's energy would break them free of Jupiter's pull. If he was wrong, they would all die in the next 10 seconds. The universe seemed to hold its breath as both ships fought against the giant planet's gravity. The alien crystal core pulsed one final time, releasing all its stored energy in a single burst. And then, the burst of energy from the alien crystal core lit up space like a new star being born. For a moment, Miller couldn't see anything through his view screen. The Pathfinder sensors went crazy, showing impossible readings before shutting down completely. When the light faded, Miller's heart sank. The alien ship was still caught in Jupiter's gravity. Worse, their hull was cracking in dozens of places, leaking their precious air into space. The rescue plan had failed. "No," Miller whispered, watching as all his calculations and hopes fell apart. The alien crew's life support was failing fast now. Through the video feed, he could see Blue's color fading to a dull gray. They were dying. "Captain Miller," Blue transmitted weakly, "you must save yourself. Our ship will not survive another attempt." Miller's hands tightened on his controls. "That's not happening. We're not done yet." He looked at his own ship's readings. The Pathfinder was damaged too. The last pass through Jupiter's radiation had fried several key systems. The main engines were only working at half power, and the hull was stressed almost to its breaking point. Earth was calling again. "Miller, get out of there. Both ships are breaking up. You've done everything you could." But Miller wasn't listening. He was staring at Jupiter's swirling storms, watching how they moved. All his years of flying had taught him to read the flow of space, to feel the way gravity pulled and pushed. There was something there, right at the edge of his understanding. "Blue," he transmitted, "your crystal core, it can still absorb energy, right?" The alien captain's color shifted slightly, showing confusion but also trust. "Yes, but we have no power to control it." "You don't need to control it," Miller said, a desperate plan forming in his mind. You just need to let it react naturally, like it was designed to do. He turned the Pathfinder around, pointing it straight at the alien ship. What he was about to try went against every rule of space rescue. It would probably destroy his ship, but it was their only chance. I'm going to fire my engines at full power, he told Blue. The energy burst will hit your crystals directly. They'll either absorb it and give you the power you need. He didn't finish the sentence. They all knew the other possibility. Blue's response was immediate. Their color brightened slightly, not with hope, but with determination. We trust you, Captain Miller. Miller took a deep breath. He had one shot at this, one chance to save 15 lives. He diverted every bit of power his ship had left to the engines, even taking it from life support. He would have about 2 minutes of air. If anyone on Earth is still listening, he transmitted, I'm going to need a ride home after this. The Pathfinder's engines screamed as Miller pushed them far beyond their safety limits. The ship shuddered, parts of its hull beginning to tear away. But Miller held it steady, aiming directly at the alien ship's crystal core. Come on, he whispered. Come on. The engines exploded in a massive burst of energy. The blast hit the alien ship's crystal core dead center. For a terrible moment, nothing happened. Then the crystals began to glow. Not the weak light of before, but a powerful, steady radiance that grew stronger by the second. The aliens' hull cracks sealed themselves as the crystal's energy flowed through their ship. Blue's color suddenly blazed bright blue again. Their crew moved with renewed strength. The ship's systems came back online one by one. But the Pathfinder was dying. Miller's air was running out, and his ship was breaking apart around him. He smiled anyway. At least the aliens would survive. That's when he felt a strange tingling sensation throughout his body. His vision blurred, and the last thing he saw was a bright blue light surrounding him. Miller opened his eyes to find himself floating in a room filled with soft blue light. For a moment, he thought he was dead. Then he saw Blue standing over him, their color rippling with what he now recognized as relief. He was on the alien ship. They had somehow transported him from the Pathfinder moments before it broke apart. The alien technology that he had fought so hard to save had, in turn, saved him. Welcome aboard, Captain Miller, Blue transmitted, their colors shifting to warm, friendly patterns. Your sacrifice was unnecessary. We protect those who protect us. Miller sat up slowly, looking around at the alien ship's interior for the first time. It was even more beautiful from the inside, with walls that seemed to flow like liquid metal. The other crew members moved around him, their colors bright with excitement and gratitude. Earth Command, this is Miller, he transmitted, his voice hoarse but happy. Mission accomplished. The alien crew is safe. And you're not going to believe where I'm calling from. The response from Earth was immediate. Cheers and shouts of joy filled the radio channel. General Adams' voice cut through the celebration. Miller, you crazy son of a gun. You actually did it. But the rescue was only the beginning. As the alien ship moved away from Jupiter, Blue showed Miller something remarkable. The crystal core hadn't just absorbed the energy from his engines. It had evolved. The crystals now pulsed with a new kind of power, something that mixed alien technology with human ingenuity. Your actions have taught us something important, Blue transmitted, showing Miller the data. Our two species can do extraordinary things when we work together. The journey back to Earth took less time than the trip out. The alien ship's enhanced crystal drive worked better than ever, cutting through space with incredible speed. Miller spent the time learning about their culture while teaching them about humanity in return. When they reached Earth orbit, the whole world was watching. The alien ship glowed like a new star in the sky, visible even in daylight. Every telescope on the planet pointed upward, and every TV channel showed the same image. Humanity's first alien visitors. The landing site had been prepared in a desert, far from any cities, but millions of people gathered at viewing points miles away, hoping to catch a glimpse of history. As the alien ship descended, its hull shimmering in the sunlight, Miller felt proud to be human. Blue insisted that Miller be the one to make the official introduction. He stood between the two species, human and alien, feeling the weight of the moment. "Today," he said, his voice carried to billions of viewers worldwide, "we prove that the universe isn't as big as we thought. When we reach out to help others, distance doesn't matter. Different shapes, different colors, different technologies, none of that matters. What matters is that we tried." The alien crew stepped forward, their colors dancing with joy and friendship. Blue presented Earth's leaders with a gift, the secrets of their crystal technology. In return, they asked to learn about human determination and creativity, the qualities that had saved their lives. 2 months later, Miller stood on a launch pad beside a new ship. It was Earth's first vessel to use a hybrid drive, part human engineering, part alien crystal technology. Its name was Unity, and Miller would be its captain. His crew would be mixed, half human, half alien. Their mission was to explore together, to find others who might need help, to show the galaxy what was possible when different species worked as one. As Miller prepared for launch, he looked at Blue, who would be his co-captain. The alien's color had shifted to match the blue of Earth's skies, a gesture of respect for their new alliance. "Ready for another adventure?" Miller asked. Blue's response came in perfect English, one of the many things they had learned during their time on Earth. "With humanity as our friends, Captain Miller, we are ready for anything." The engines hummed to life, human and alien technology working in perfect harmony. Above them, the stars waited, and this time, they would explore them together.